Welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it's Your Impact Attack, and we are live as we always are every Monday night. VBC is live. And who's the VBC? V, Vet, B, Brandon, C, Chat. What's up, everybody?
Not a whole lot. I want to apologize, guys, for the late start. Technical difficulties. Let's leave it at that.
Let's leave it.
But we're here.
That.
We're doing it. We're kicking it. What's up, pal?
Yeah, we are. It's a little bit fitting that perhaps we're a little delayed at going on because the show may end around the same time because there doesn't seem to be a whole hell of a lot happening in the world of professional wrestling in general, TNA in particular. So we'll probably have you in and out of here in a nice orderly fashion, and just in my estimation, unless we come up with something along the way, because it's not the most newsworthy of weeks in my personal surveillance. But we'll see what you guys think. We'll see what Brandon thinks. Who has stuck with us and hung out until the live broadcast?
All right, let's see. Hopefully we still got Liz here. Hopefully we still got Lab Rat, Javi Uchiha. Let's see who else. Canada Spaceman, of course. I think he bounced. We also got Gan Wolfers. What's up, guys? Whoop whoop.
All right. So yeah. So wrestling news, I have a small item, and that's about it. So I'll ask you first if there's anything that found its way across your desk that you wanted to make mention of, or no shenanigans. As we were warned. We're warned, no shenanigans.
Nah, but I'm sure we'll have quite a bit to talk about once that McMahon documentary drops.
Well, one thing that dropped is a McMahon tweet.
Oh, yeah, that did happen. Yep. Forgot about that one, pal.
He said, well, time to retire again. No, he said, yeah, just of course, him just saying in a statement that sounds like it could have been written by Vince McMahon, but definitely not tweeted. I'm sure his handlers tweeted it for him, but it certainly could have been written by him. But he's basically just saying, without going into the word for word thing, that yes, it is one-sided, and yes, it is cut to look a certain way, and yes, things are taken out of context, which is, every documentary to some extent. But then again, what else are you going to say? The fact that you even need to say, to make a statement, and then you have Ben Hameen's quote tweet where hashtag shoulda laid out.
That whole thing just kind of reeked of, yeah, I'm guilty, or I did do all this shit, but I need to kind of have my lawyers put it into a way where it's like I don't look like I did any of this.
Yeah.
That whole statement looked like it was put together by his legal team.
Right. And speaking of legal team, that's kind of how it's a sort of a sad state of affairs, but this is kind of just how, people look at and judge like a person's innocence. If they can see a piece of media that fits into either what they want to believe, or whether it's it just so happens to convince them because they're susceptible to the tricks of entertainment media, and like the way it sways your opinion, and the way you can cut something to look like it's supposed to be factual, but it just will tell whatever narrative you want to tell. It kind of feels like, in these days, it's not so much, innocent until proven guilty. It's kind of like innocent until they see a documentary about it or whatever, you know? Like that just seems like some people will not make up their mind until they see something. There will be people that will have been thinking Vince McMahon is innocent, and then they'll see this documentary and they'll change their mind because they'll just believe the documentary, right? They won't even be all the things that they should have believed, you know, all the evidence that they could have gathered over the years on their own or from stories or from incidents or from other legal proceedings and things. No, it'll just be this documentary. That'll be the thing that changes their mind and lets them see the light. And, you know, I guess by any means necessary, but that's just kind of how people are in my experience. What about you?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, in my opinion, a documentary, it should be kind of more of a it should kind of like lay out like the basic facts of something, and if you're interested in it, you learn more.
Yeah, but there's nothing entertaining about facts. We need to gloss it up. We need to gloss it up a little bit. Otherwise, everybody would just read a set of encyclopedias back to front. They just, you know, we want to be entertained. Damn it. So I guess that's, you know, we'll see. We'll see. People are all eagerly waiting it, a Netflix documentary. So I guess we'll comment on that. What is that? Two more days? Does that drop?
The 25th.
Okay. So there you go. Liz put over in the chat that one of the Pretty Deadly guys and his lady had a kid. I should congratulate them. That could be you know, contributing to the lack of Pretty Deadly on SmackDown. Oh, here's a piece of news I just came across as well. Oh, they got married. Oh, never mind. Sorry. See, erroneous facts being reported here on the Impact Attack. I don't know why I thought that. That's even worse. Probably getting married. She's about to get released. So, yeah, save your money. Let's see. No, SmackDown on USA Network. Ratings came in according to WrestleNomics, you know, that bastion of all rating sources that we only started paying attention to or existed since AEW came into existence for some reason. But anyway, yes, they are reporting that SmackDown on USA this past Friday drew a 1.4.
That's bad, dude.
I know they had come on. There was like a short film in the middle of that episode, you know, with huge megastars Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. Like, why didn't everybody just stop whatever they were doing and click on the USA Network on a Friday night to watch that? Yeah. Well, I mean, this is just look. This only sounds disappointing and shocking to people that don't really get it. Because if you guys know, and I mean, we talked about it here on this show, Brandon. I talked about it on The Wreckage. I talked about it on Next Level. I've talked about it on Monday Locker Rooms. I've talked about it on whatever shows that I've been appearing on. Whenever I talk about ratings, and I say that, and I already predicted that when SmackDown moved to USA, they were going to do about what Raw does, because that's the audience of people that have the USA Network and fall asleep in front of it watching Law and Order reruns. That's it. There's no other way to explain how you have ratings that kind of fluctuate within, you know, 100,000 people here and there week to week. One company, AEW, looks like an empty airplane hangar when they shoot their TV. The other, WWE, has jam-packed raucous arenas full of people singing and having a great time, and business is up and everything's great, and they're doing similar ratings based on where they were, 5 years ago or whatever. Like the cable ratings has just been trending slowly down for both of them, but they had different starting points. You know, if AEW's starting around, their first episode was around 1 million, then they started being around. It was 1.4 actually. It was actually SmackDown matched the Dynamite debut rating. Then over the years, they've gone down and down and down and down and down. However, so like from around or hovering around 1 million a few times, 900,000 and the 800,000s, and now Dynamite dips down to the sixes and the pretty soon in another year maybe they'll cross that 5 threshold or whatever. WWE Raw was starting around 5 years ago. They were around like a 2.3, 2.2, right? And then they've slowly worked themselves down to a 1.3 now. So they've lost almost 1 million people. And AEW's lost about 300,000 people over that time period. So if one company looks successful financially and the other one doesn't, what that tells me is that it's not the company's TV that's changing, it's the overall viewership that's being recorded with the means that we record them today. It's just less people are watching cable TV, because these shows, as low numbers as they are, always do high in the cable ratings, right? They're always around number 1, number 2 for the night on cable and stuff. It's certain demographics, sometimes they're number 1. So what does that tell you? That just tells you we ain't watching the things that are recording the actual numbers. And wrestling can be popular and wrestling can be struggling at the same time and be doing comparative numbers on the cable TV. So I knew, and I said, and you guys remember when I said that when SmackDown moved, it would do about what Raw does. And when Raw goes to Netflix, we're not going to hear about their ratings anymore, because Netflix doesn't do ratings. So at least that's one less thing we'll have to hear about. But I rambled on long enough. What do you think about it? What comes to your mind when you hear the SmackDown is, dropped about 600,000 people from what they would normally do on Fox?
Man, that's kind of rough. So I didn't think it was going to be that much of a dip from cable to network, or network to cable. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. I think the debut episode was right around, what was it, 1.8 or 1.9 or something. I didn't have the numbers in front of me for the actual USA debut.
Oh, the actual USA debut. Okay.
Because this would have been week 2 on USA, I think.
This was their second week.
So they did under 2, the debut, and then they dropped. So it's only going to get worse. But then you tune in, you watch it, people are loving it. So it's just a commentary on TV viewership in 2020. Labrat says AEW ran Raw off cable TV. All the AEW fans in there. Nah.
Whatever you guys need to tell yourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. No. It's just gotta go where the money is. That's basically it. Netflix wants to make an offer. You take that offer. It's a good one. It's a good offer. Comes with other little incentives, Like, for example, let's say you're a wrestling company that's trying to completely absolve yourself of your former owner. Maybe Netflix throw in a little documentary about it. Sweeten the deal.
You can also kind of give them a little guiding points of, hey, and make sure you end it, letting them know, hey, we're moving on from that and we're embracing a new future without that guy.
Yeah. So there you go. So that happened. What else happened? Uh, I don't know. Did you see any other news? No.
Not a whole
Y-
lot, pal.
any you guys see any news besides marriages? All right. So here's my little piece of news that I discovered. Uh, and it is the. I will read this headline directly off Wrestling Inc. It says AEW's Dustin Rhodes launches wrestling promotion. First show announced. Let's see. Yada yada yada. Dustin Rhodes Wrestling Company. New role as promoter this fall on Sunday night. On Twitter, announced launch of Rhodes Wrestling Association, as well as the date of the company's first show. Texas Fall Fury, November 21st, Thursday at 6 p.m. Central. I don't think he has a TV deal
He's part of the WBD deal.
yet. Maybe. So basically, yeah. There you go. Dustin Rhodes gonna do his own wrestling promotion. Everyone get excited. I don't know. That's it. That's the newsworthy level that I saw when I was skimming the headlines. And yeah. So I guess that's that. As far as before we get into the TNA portion of the show, I have a I got a lovely direct message from Chris Winland that came with a question for this week. So I appreciate you, Chris. Thank you for the nice things that you said. But what he was saying was he wanted us to elaborate on, or me specifically, perhaps, on what I know of Tama Tonga, because he really sees it with this guy and he's thinks he's a star. So he wanted to know what my thoughts were on him as a standalone performer. Can he break out from the bloodline? Do they always have to be connected, or is there a singles run in Tama Tonga? Well, I'll ask you first because you've had some limited exposure to Tama Tonga since you've been doing watch-alongs. And I believe they Gorillas of Destiny briefly came through Impact Wrestling back when they were kind of doing that. Um, I'm sure they had like a couple matches or something like that, like tag team matches or something. But more specifically, like um, I guess he was inspired to. I guess he was inspired to ask this question after this episode of SmackDown that we're talking about, with the ratings and whatnot. He did sort of like, I think he had the microphone and was kind of cutting a promo on the way to the ring, which led into like a brawl, or a match or whatever it was. I've already forgotten. But yeah, so yeah, Tama Tonga. Have you noticed anything that stands out to you about him as a performer, especially considering that we've got this looming Jacob Fatu that the announcers are just trying to get over with all their might?
Man, to be fair, I just have not really seen anything that just makes him stand out. I mean, I'm sure that there is. I just personally haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. Well, to elaborate on what I know of Tom Tonga, yes, for a long time, a storied tag team specialist with Tonga Loa as the Gorillas of Destiny and New Japan Pro Wrestling. That's where they made pretty much their whole career. And that was what they had been doing up until, maybe the last couple of years, in which they sort of had to like, um, partially due to injury on Tongaloa's part, and partially due to just, them needing Tama Tonga for certain, angles that they were doing or whatever. He got a singles run there. Um, the way New Japan has their structure as far as like broadcasting. So like if you have New Japan World and you watch an event, you're basically watching a filmed house show. That's how they present it. I mean, they give it all the broadcasting trappings of like a major event or whatever, but they just do match, 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 match. And afterwards, um, afterwards, they have like backstage comments. So everybody right after their match goes in front of this little backdrop or whatever, says their comments, and sometimes if there's anybody like, photographers, that maybe take pictures there, or media, they'll ask questions, but most of the time it's just, one person with two people with a camera, like one camera for the TV replay and one camera for the New Japan World live streaming or whatever. So they'll go backstage, they'll say a promo if they have one, and then they'll just move on. So it's like improvise in the moment, the same way you would do this if it was a real sport, the same way like a reporter will talk to a football player off the, like after the game or something, they'll pass through, whatever. So I've seen Tama Tonga do dozens and dozens of promos with no script or whatever. I know that he's got it. Even if he's given something, he'll make it work. As far as that goes, no problem. Tama Tonga has that sort of like captivating, like I need to listen to this guy whenever he's talking, sort of aura. In the ring, obviously he's fine. He's great. He can do anything you need in the ring. Looks great. He definitely has an it. And the only downside to him is that he spent his majority of his career there, and he's got more years behind him than he does in front of him now. So he can have one, he can have one great run in WWE, and then he'll kind of age out. But as long as he can stay healthy or whatever, he's definitely a valuable asset to have in the company. So as to whether he can have a singles run and break out, yes, he can. Easy. Just like many people in WWE can. The question is, will they? Or are they going to waste more time on certain guys that there's less, I would say less money on. Sometimes there's guys that WWE is pushing where I say, for one example that's been around recently is main event Jey Uso, right? Like Jey Uso's been given a lot of TV time, a lot of exposure. He and his brother were a dominant tag team, much like, they're basically Guerrillas of Destiny US in the sense that they've been together a long time and that's what they were known for. And then recently, they've had to go it alone on their own singles routes. That's similar to what had happened in New Japan with the Guerrillas of Destiny. So, I mean, we're seeing it now. So it's kind of interesting because now they're both in the same place, which this could lead with all four guys there. This could lead to some very interesting tag team matches and singles matches or team ups or any, combination of interesting things that WWE could do using the histories of both these guys. And if they gave them mic time or whatever to go at each other, it would be very entertaining. But if I'm taking between the guy that they're pushing, Jey Uso, and Tama Tonga, who's the guy that's just the right-hand man or whatever, anything that Jey Uso could pull off, company-wise, Tama Tonga could probably do it way better. I'm just saying that. That's not a knock on Jey Uso. That's a that's a huge compliment to Tama Tonga. He's better as a wrestler. He's better on the mic. He has a better look. He has just this. He moves in this sort of like serpentine way sometimes. That's just very quite. I almost look at like the Usos as kind of like maybe they rip them off. Yeah. So I don't. I'm not saying, I'm not accusing the Usos of ripping off the Gorillas of Destiny, but you could certainly make that distinction if you were watching both the teams and like how they sort of evolved into what they are. Labrat says, I found Tama while he was in Japan. He's a great character, a wrestler, one of the few Japan any guys I actually wanted to know more about. See, so that sort of speaks volumes about him. And Jimmy T says he's a decent promo. Jimmy, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here, Jimmy. A decent promo? Compared to what? Tama Tonga's an incredible promo. He probably skipped all those backstage. You know, Jimmy's just he's a fake fan. But anyway, yeah. Yeah. So yeah, as far as Tama Tonga, he's tops in my book. So whatever role they have for him, he's gonna do to the best of his abilities. And I think that's kind of what you're seeing now. But, you know, in WWE, in the office, you kind of have to prove yourself to them, you know? So, there you go. It's up. We'll see. We'll see. But I'm confident that they will see what I see. How could they not? I think that's pretty much the gist of the question. I don't have any other follow-ups, so hopefully that answered Chris's question. But yes, Chris, you are right to see something in Tama Tonga. There's definitely more that they could be doing with him, and he has more talent, ability, and experience than a lot of the guys that they're investing TV time and money in right now. So we'll see if he can flip that. Yeah. So
here's one angle within the Bloodline storyline I'm kind of hoping to see is for like the babyface, you know, Bloodline group, which for like that's clearly where they're headed, where we're gonna get the OG Bloodline as the baby faces. I'd like to see them do something where kind of like Rikishi is their elder, and then the new Bloodline, Haku's like their elder.
That would be nice. Well, maybe. I'm trying to think. I'm mentally calculating. Is Rikishi too silly to be involved in this stuff? I mean, he's known mostly for dancing, so I'm like,
He did run over Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, he did. He would have to be that. And then, yeah, I don't know. Liz says, do you see the tweet where Rikishi made comments about Jacob Fatu and not liking their... What's... No. I don't see these things, but... Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, well, we'll see what they do, but I mean, that's the thing. You're not even gonna bring Rikishi in if he keeps making fucking comments like that, and the other stuff that he has been saying about Jay not getting enough of a push or whatever bullshit he's trying to say about the Yeet Man. Really? But I already given my thoughts on that. I'm not gonna repeat it. So we'll see what they do. But yes, once again, Tama Tonga, 2 thumbs up. Now, the opposite of 2 thumbs up. TNA wrestling.
It's 3 thumbs.
Yeah. 4 thumbs down is what I would give TNA. But hey,
they said, like, when I was in the crowd watching that match, they said if I would have held up 5 hands, I mean 5 fingers, the crowd would have went nuts.
Um, I just I don't know. It's exhausting watching TNA sometimes, especially because you see like, well, it's much like when you have a Tamatonga and he's just kind of standing there, while Solo Sokoa has a microphone or something. You're just like, oh, I want to see that guy. It's kind of what TNA is like. Um, but but yeah. But anyway, we got the normal catch up to start the show, just to let you know what happened at Victory Road. Um, and we start off the show with, "Do you want to know something?" They actually crammed a ton of stuff into this opening thing. We have Lish come out, annoying everybody. Here comes Masha Slamovich. We get the big English reveal. Oh my God, she's been able to speak English the whole time. Um, and then Tasha Steelz comes out, and Kendra is out there, and then Jordan Grace comes out there, and then Team Fat comes out there, and then Team Hardy comes out there, and then Santino comes out there and makes a 6-person tag for the main event tonight. And then Ariana Grace comes out there and says that she wants to make a tag team match for next week for Jordan Grace with she's gonna have a partner that's one of that's she's gonna have a partner that's one of her best friends from NXT, which we'll find out is basically everybody that she brings up is gonna be one of her best friends. Are gonna team up with Jordan Grace to face Team Dark next week. So there you go. There you go. That was a lot of stuff. And this is all just in that first opening in ring. Is this too much or just the right amount? Or could we have crammed more stuff? Could we have got more entrances in this?
Now, at least they actually cut the music and entrances down a bit. I think only like 2 or 3 we had.
Yeah. The funny one is the one that started the show. Alicia Edwards didn't even get any music. She just went out there cold. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so there you go. I mean, I don't know. Uh, got anything else to say about this, or?
I thought it was all right. I mean, I wish it would have been more setting up Moose in the world title.
No. The main takeaway is that Masha speaks English.
Yeah. Yep. Which I thought was a decent character development for her. She's been around long enough. Her character's been developed. I thought this was a natural progression for her, especially if she's going babyface.
Yeah. What she needs to do is go somewhere else. Because this is not going to do her any favors. Okay, bald white Canadians with beards have
just to let you know, I have no idea how to do that. That happened on somebody else's chat. That's beyond what I can do.
Okay. Yeah, see this is why. See, here's the thing for the messages of certain guys and friends of guys and alternate accounts of guys. Just so you guys know, you're not going to get over here. This is not the place to get over. All right? So, take your shit somewhere else, and thanks for the view. Like I was saying, Josh Alexander and Eric Young have a chat backstage. Okay. There's lights there, too. Hashtag turn off the lights.
Turn them off, pal.
Jordan and Masha show the Hardys a pic they took of Masha with her when she was a child. So she's honored to be in a match with them later tonight. Yay.
Killer Masha marking out for the Hardys.
Yep. Okay, now we have Team Coach, formerly known as First Class, versus Sinner and Saint.
Ooh.
Do they look like a tag team that deserves to have a cool? I say cool. That's air quotes on cool. Is Sinner and Saint a cool name? They don't have real names. Are they? Are they?
I
Are
think
they?
they did. It was I forgot what they were, but they did have actual names. We'll get to it when we get to the punching up.
Okay. Um. Well, yeah. So they're just here to, I guess, enhance. We don't want to offend Dustin Rhodes with his new wrestling promotion, or we won't get booked. So I'll say these were enhancement wrestlers for Mr. Navarro and Mr. Francis. So there you go. And we see Lara says Josh Alexander mini clones. Any thoughts on this particular match? Just a quick get over for Coach.
I mean, they needed a win because they've just kind of jobbing him out quite a bit recently.
Okay. Santana and his barbed wire bat do a promo. I'm sorry. There's a reason there's a silence there because I don't have anything else to say. Like none of this stuff is really noteworthy. Speedball with Gia, no music underneath. He actually just does a little. She asks him a couple questions and he answers them, and nobody walks in from the side to interrupt him. I was confused. I said, "What is going on here? How does this happen? If someone's talking, shouldn't somebody be walking in from the side interrupting? I don't get it. This is strange to me." So
yeah, that was a lot of this came out kind of just bland and boring. At least the Santana promo was pretty decent.
Yeah. All right. They showed something for last week where Steph Delander, in a calming pink light, ambient light, calmed down PCO. He was very upset, but she said, "Calm down." That was worthy of showing us, I guess. Yeah. But then we get Cardona versus Rhino. And it looks like, Cardona has the match well in hand until the lights go out. And then the lights come back on and the ref is just completely out of there. I was busy ignoring this match, and then like when the lights went out, I had to rewind to see did he actually win the match, and I didn't. Don't put those comments up. When the what do you call it? When the lights go out, the ref was just out of the ring completely. There was no finish. There was no, was it? And PCO was there, and he chokeslammed Matt Cardona, and he ran away. And then he beat up the chair. He moonsaulted a chair. He treated this chair like Ric Flair does when he takes his coat off and throws it on the mat, pretty much.
Woo!
Which was very odd to watch him punching a chair on the mat. What did you think of this?
Boring and didn't really get further any business. Okay, PCO and Matt Cardona still hate each other. Okay. What did this do to advance the story?
Yeah, we knew that already.
This is what I think Dutch Mantel would call maintenance.
I guess it is a maintenance. I mean, except for the beating up the inanimate object part. That just makes PCO look like he doesn't have a brain in his head. He moonsaulted the chair. Like I wasn't joking about that part. He did that. That happened. Yeah, whatever. Next is Spitfire versus Well, the liaison comes out to introduce two of her best friends from NXT. Um, Kendall Gray and Carly Bright. I only wrote their last name, so I had to struggle to remember their first names. Sorry. They are not, just in case anybody was wondering and seen these ladies for the first time, they're not twins. I don't think they're related in any way. That just shows you the kind of people that NXT had been signing at a period of time. But one of them was, even though they look exactly the same, one of them was a standout amateur wrestler, and the other one was a literal cheerleader. So they decided to put their skills together to form this tag team to take on the TNA Knockouts champions. They didn't get the job done, sadly. I'm very sad to report. But, hey, you know, this is part of what that Triple H is talking about where, you know, we don't have enough reps for these kids, so we got to send them places to get experience and work.
Which, to be fair, is not the worst idea in the world.
No, it's called the foundation of the pro wrestling. But yes. So any thoughts on the match or the ladies, the NXT ladies? I don't imagine you've seen a lot of them. Even if you have been doing NXT watch-alongs.
No, not at all. But it's been it was a basic, simple match. Just, you know, for crossover appeal. You know, put Spitfire over. You know, not really a whole lot there.
Okay. Breaking news: Revamp Wrestling. WWE aired a promo for Penta and Phoenix during Raw. Well, we'll just have to check that out. But yeah. So, well, Kendall Gray, for example, has done a thing. If she's known for anything, it's doing a thing where the No Quarter Catch crew has a guy named Miles Bourne, and when he's at ringside for some of his group's matches, Kendall Gray has been seen. Kendall Gray has been seen, you know, throwing this guy. Like, she suplexed him multiple times. So, like, you know, so she goes from that, and then, but can't win a basic, you know, a wrestling match against a women's wrestler. So it's always interesting when they do that, sort of like crossing that boundary, but then actually do nothing with it. Or
yeah, that's that's a little, I was not aware of that bit. Like, that's one of those things you kind of need to pay a little bit of a, or at least you need to get everybody on the same page of like, okay, here's what we've done with this character. So make sure that when they're on your show, you keep following the same pattern or formula or story.
Oh yeah. And in a more broad sense, you don't want to, like, if I'm going to be suplexing men as a woman, you should probably have some plans for me.
Yeah.
And if you don't, then save that until you do. And then let me get over with that. Don't just let me pop the Performance Center crowd. You know, let me use that to do something with. So,
yeah, if you don't do anything with that, you just basically buried a bunch of dudes and got nothing out of it.
Now, they also have under contract Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, Tamara Mensah stock. So I think that would be a perfect opportunity to do like a woman's, either a women's world's greatest tag team, or a rivalry that you can build on the undercard that can get up to the upper card. Right? So.
I mean, yeah, if
All
you're
right.
gonna do, like, if you're gonna do the gimmick of, you know, a woman beating up on, like, who can take men in a legit fight, like, that's who you'd give that gimmick to.
You would think. Heather Reckless is going to take Ash up on her makeover offer, but she's not going to get a makeover tonight. She's going to get the blow off tonight. They're like, get out of here. I don't know if this is on purpose, but Heather Reckless is like the worst like actor of all time. I don't know if this is supposed to be, if she's, like I said, is this an acting choice to be this bad? I don't know. I don't know.
It was rough, pal.
It's definitely like so you're taking you're taking the place of Giselle Shaw here, so
pretty much.
Allegedly. I mean, obviously, just because you bring somebody in while somebody's leaving doesn't mean that they're taking their place, but this is the person you chose to be like the exit match. And again, just another thing, like no angle there. It's like she wasn't big enough to have an angle with, but you still used her to go over. You know what I mean? Like the angle is still between Ash by Elegance, and that's not going to get paid off now because Giselle's gone. So in many different ways, they have botched this. In many different ways. But I would only elaborate further if I cared, to be honest. Speaking of not caring, we have JDC versus Santana in a Texas death match. Now, this could have been the highlight of the show for some people. I mean, physically, it's the highlight. But it's I've seen a lot of this. I've seen a lot of this garbage wrestling in recent weeks. So I mean, I'm kind of tired of it, but I mean, what'd you think? Did you enjoy these two guys bloodying each other up?
Man, I thought this more should have been a like a pay-per-view blow off, like the conclusion of a chapter in Santana's journey to Moose.
As opposed to what it was, which was
a throwaway on free TV.
Okay. Well, to give you an idea of what you missed if you didn't see it, that barbed wire bat that he had earlier that he was carrying with him in the promo. Well, do you think he came to the ring with it? Or do you think he was like partway through the match and reached under the apron and got it somehow?
I'm going to go B, Bob.
That is correct. And when he grabbed the bat from under the ring, as JDC was leaning over the second rope trying to grab him by the hair or whatever, and as he has this barbed wire bat in his hand, what do you think? Do you think he grabbed the bat properly, like by the handle, and reached up and swung the barbed wire tipped portion and wrapped portion of the bat to hit JDC in the face? Or do you think he held it upside down and he took the little bat handle or whatever and just jabbed upwards to hit the JDC with the non-lethal portion of the bat?
I'm going to go B again, Bob.
That is correct. Do you think that when he climbed a ladder to splash JDC through a setup thing of two covered tables, do you think that he used his balance and coordination to climb the ladder? Or do you think that the referee and an unknown stage assistant held the ladder for him so that he could climb it and do a splash?
I got to go B again, Bob.
Man, I'm going to have to redo my answer key here. It seems like oops all bees. Yeah. Now, the way they get around everybody shitting on this is they have Santana order the referee to hold it. So he is under duress, I guess, and he's afraid to not do what this angry man is telling him to do. But then again, as a referee, you're completely buried and your authority's out the window, and why are you even here if you listen to a wrestler yelling at you? Right?
Yeah, the only
As
like
a
the
former
only
referee.
Yep. And the only like logical follow up to that would be like, next week you see that referee in Santino's office and he's chewing him out and saying you do that again, you're getting fired, and for now you're getting hit with this fine or something like that.
Yep. It's definitely a conflict of interest to assist the wrestlers in any way, even if it's a Texas death match. Well, anyway, he does hit the splash, and to their credit, that is the only fall of the match, and that is the 10 count. I think it's the only fall. Did anybody get pinned before this? I don't think so.
Good question. Don't remember.
Well, at least they also did the stipulation of the Texas death match, right, where you score a win, and then they have 10 seconds to answer, and if they don't, they lose. Some people just treat it like a last man standing and call it a Texas death match. But you actually have to score a fall first, the way this is done. And they're still in San Antonio, so at least it's in Texas. Anyway, after Santana wins the match, then he is trampled by Moose and left laying there as Moose stands over him.
Did you see the turdy pointer?
Did I? Probably. But yeah, I mean, like you said, this is something that's supposed to get to Santana and Moose. I guess it does. But when is that going to be? Is that
Probably
going to...
I'd imagine Bound for Glory.
Yeah. Well, it's a shame. Yeah, that's it. I got nothing. I got nothing. It's the only Moose sighting, I believe, so mentally checked out. Sinner and Saint are just chilling over in the pink lights. Probably they were trying to get calmed down after their loss because they saw how the pink lights worked so well for Steph DeLander at PCL last week. So they were trying to bask in a little bit of that. And then Josh Alexander comes by and puts him over. And, I guess he saw a different match than I saw. But to be fair, that's probably accurate because I didn't watch these guys' match. Yeah. So is he going to have like a pair of good hands now? Is Josh Alexander going to be the new Brian Myers?
Look, he's got himself a Trevor and Corey, pal.
Didn't Brian Myers do the learning tree gimmick first?
He sure did.
Yeah, all right.
Okay. I mean, that's where his finish. That's where the roster cut name came from for his finish.
Exactly. Yeah, that even makes no sense now. Like if you just started watching again after TNA, started getting momentum, it's like roster cut. We're not gonna have to worry about how to pronounce this certain lady's name anymore because it's gonna be different. We're gonna see the debut of Lei Ying Lee next week. So oddly enough, of the companies where we got WWE and TNA working together, it's TNA that's deciding that they're going to have somebody's name that they own or whatever. That's not going to get used anywhere else. Huh. Is this like where like every Indian wrestler is like their last name is Singh no matter what? Like do you just have to put Lee at the end of a,
Get me,
Yeah, now
get me Keith Lee and Dragon Lee, pal.
yeah, now we're getting robbed of a Zaya Brookside versus Zaya Lee match, but I don't know.
It's also
All right.
possible too. That's something that the performer or the wrestler herself, came up with and want to kind of make her own persona and market it, make that her brand.
Why do I feel like that's not the case? I don't know. It's just a hunch I have that if I was an independent wrestler that had been released from WWE recently, my brand would be my own name, and I would sell that. But I could be wrong. Joe Hendry on his way to the ring, he's going to do a Joe Hendry promo. He basically effectively ends up saying nothing until the king of TNA, the man of the delicious tan, Frankie Kazarian, interrupts and basically comes out and says that he should have been the TNA champion or fighting for the TNA championship. And then Dolph Ziggler comes out and he says, hey, both you guys are other wrestlers that I'm going to fight. So blah, blah, blah. And then Santino comes out and he says that next week we'll have Joe Hendry versus Frankie Kazarian for the #1 contendership. Just like that.
You think it's possible they could be setting up Dolph Ziggler or Nick Nemeth or whatever to turn heel with the JBL involvement, so that way at least he's the bad guy going into it against Joe Hendry?
It's possible. It's also possible that this could end up in a 3-way.
Ooh, that's pretty hot.
That tan. All right. Well, the main event is Tasha and the Fat Guys versus Masha and the Hardys. So there you go. A six-person intergender match. Lish gets ejected and carried away by ABC, kicking and screaming. And then they deliver the swanton to Brian Myers, and the good guys win. The end. That's the show. Anything else?
It was a match. It was a nice, good, crowd pleasing house show match.
Hey, all right. Well, that was a nice, good, crowd pleasing house show TNA. There you go. The big takeaway that I got from this is the pink lights are calming and soothing. If I take away one thing from this episode, that's what I got.
Turn off the lights, pal.
Well, I don't know how many lights are in the punch-up, but let's see if you can do something about this bullshit.
All right, let me go ahead and move this real quick so I got my screen right in front of me. And we'll go ahead and get cracking on this. All right, so we got our recap and our catch-up packet.
Delicious.
Let me go to the intro, Pyro and Ballyhoo, announce table, in-ring, Alicia, Masha, Tasha, Grace, Myers, Edward, Santino, Grace, Hardys.
I was going to say, did you add another person? Santina there too? And him at the same time? That's never been done.
Well, how funny would that be if they did a Halloween episode, of crossover, and Ariana dressed up as Santina?
Yeah, there's a lot of... never mind. Continue.
Give me the Lake of Reincarnation, pal. So we have that whole segment, same as on the show. We go to the parking lots with Hendry and Nemeth. Both men are seen arriving at the building. Go to our first commercial break. Go to a pre-tape of Josh Alexander and Eric Young. Same as on the show. Match number 1, First Class versus Judas Icarus and Travis Williams. Judas Icarus and Travis
Is
Williams.
that the Sinner and Saint?
Yes.
Judas Icarus.
Yep.
Can you imagine some parents just having a kid and naming it that? Judas Icarus Stevenson.
Dude, some of the names I've seen some of these kids these days, I can believe that.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
Then you got First Class Music and Entrance. Same matches on the show. Backstage, Masha, Grace, and Hardy. Same as on the show. Backstage, Joe Hendry and Gia. Gia asked Joe to talk about his face-to-face with Nick Nemeth later. Lights go out. Second commercial break. Pre-tape, Mike Santana. Same as on the show. Earlier today, PCO and Steph DeLander. Same as on the show. Match 2, Matt Cardona versus Rhino. Matt Cardona, music and entrance. Rhino, music and entrance. Condensed version of everything we saw on the show. Backstage, Gia and Mike Bailey. Same as on the show. Backstage, Santino's office. Santino and Ariana are going over business. Hendry enters Santino's office and asks him who cut the lights for his interview. Santino starts his response for the lights get cut again. Third commercial break. Mike Santana versus JDC in a death match. Mike Santana, music and entrance. JDC, music and entrance. Condensed version of a match on the show with Santana looking more dominant. Moves out to attack Santana. Backstage, Ash by Elegance. Concierge, Heather Reckless. Same as on the show. Backstage, Josh Alexander, Judas Icarus, Travis Williams. Same as on the show. Match number 4, TNA Knockouts Tag Team Championship match. Spitfire versus Carly Bright and Kendall Gray. Spitfire music and entrance. Ariana Grace music and entrance. Mentioned during the promo that her father is finding out who keeps shutting off the lights when Hendry is on camera. Introduces Bright and Gray, Carly Bright, and Kendall Gray music and entrance. Same as on the show. We go to the trainer's room with Mike Santana. He's getting looked at, and then Moose charges in and attacks him. Go to our 4th commercial break. Vignette, Lei Ying Lee. Same as on the show. Pre-tape, Zachary Wentz says once Trey is good to go, they're going to go after both the NXT and TNA tag titles. Wesley jumps Trey from behind, and it leads to a fight. Backstage, Santino's office. He's still trying to solve the mystery of the lights. Match number 5, Hardys and Masha versus Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, and Tasha Steeles. The system, music and entrance. Hardys and Masha, music and entrance. Condensed version of match on the show. We go to a vignette of Rosemary and Wendy Chu. They do their thing where they basically want to collect all the women's gold across TNA and NXT. Backstage, Joe Hendry and Nick Nemeth. Both men are headed to the ring. We go to our 4th and final commercial break. New Japan hype video, announce table rundown card for next week's show. In ring, Hendry, Nemeth, Kazarian, Santino. Joe Hendry, music and entrance. He brings up how someone's been trying to silence him all night by cutting the lights. Goes in the same promo as on the show. Frankie Kazarian, music and entrance. Same promos on the show with him mentioning it was him who cut the lights. Nick Nemeth, music and entrance. Same promos on the show. Santino, music and entrance. Sets up Joe Hendry versus Frankie Kazarian for next week. With winner getting Nemeth at Bound for Glory. And then it breaks down into Kazarian and Hendry fighting with each other as we go off the air.
Well, this episode was all about the lights in some form or fashion, was it not?
Yep, I thought that was very funny. All right, let's get them lights going, pal.
That's it. Well, I mean, it makes sense, right? These days, people only care about stuff like they'll chant for tables no matter who's in the ring. So they clearly have more of an investment in inanimate furniture. So why not the lights? Why not build a show around the lights?
Get me friendship bracelet, pal.
Yeah, we're not gonna build our show around the lights. But anyway. All right, well, that's it. We punched it up. We talked about it. And I guess we're just about out of here. I don't think that there's anything left to say. So
was an impact.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the softest, weakest impact. It's like we wanted the full swing of the barbed wire bat, and we got the little jab with the handle. So there you go. And that probably hurt more. Well, I guess we could. I guess we could just tell them where they can find us, if nothing else, right? I'm sure some of them know, but
We might have a few newbies in here. But as always, you can catch me on Twitter, or as the kids call it these days, the X at LG Brandon Whoop. I am also on Twitch. That's still under construction. It's twitch.tv/LG Brandon Whoop Whoop. I'm also on Substack at HMG Brandon. And of course, all week long doing watch alongs on the HMG YouTube channel. Schedule for this week, tomorrow night, we got the NXT watch along. Wednesday night, it's going to be a late start of AEW Dynamite. Off on Thursdays, I got work. Friday night, we got SmackDown. Saturday night's another night, got to be off because of work. But then Sunday, we're coming back with the Impact Wrestling watch-along replay of what this past Thursday.
all righty.
So hope to catch you guys on any of those. Always a good time. We just hang out and have fun.
Yep. And Labrat asked, did anyone see Seth get thrown out of the stands at the Chicago game, or did they show that on Raw? I saw it on social media, so somebody showed it somewhere. But yeah, it was just some goofing around. No big deal. As for me, at Opinion Haver everywhere. You already know the shows. Watch Rip Rogers live. Watch Stevie Richards show. Watch JTG's YouTube channel. Watch the Bottom Line Betting with RBV and John Hartnett. Watch the Monday Locker Room this week with RBV and John Hartnett. Lots of content on HMG. Lots of content outside of HMG. Lots of satellites out there. So, we appreciate all of your support, and we will see you next time. So for Brandon, I'm the vet, and I don't have